Stay low.
Is the twister. Look at that. Alright, it's mail day here in my new home at the Sonder in Miami. Bam. And it is from Rollerblade. It is the twister. Look at that. That is so dope. It looks so future designed, like a kind of a military skate. Like bullets would deflect off these panels here. I don't know if that was the intention or if they took it off like a jet fighter or some sort of armored vehicle. But yeah, look at this. It's got this this little thing here that is required of me. It's not a super wide boot, so my power stops are going to be great. Wow. The liner's not integrated. It's a separate liner. And the rocker on this, there's no rocker. It's a flat setup. And that's good because it's a short frame and I don't want a complete slalom setup, having to learn and be a little bit goofy here in Miami. I want to look good all the time. So we've got extra insoles. That's nice, extra insoles. Miami style laces to match this little accent here. I think I'm going to stay with the black. I like the idea of two different color points. And in this little packet here, Allen wrenches. And the key for this cuff here, this thing here, well, I'm not going to show you now. There we are. So I wanted the twister. I wanted a boot that was a little more solid for landing on things from a high point. And this looks like the boot for me. It's got a vent in the bottom. Wow, I'm seeing so much here. I'm gonna have to do a proper product shoot. But yeah, you got to see my surprise. It's so nice when I think I know a product is good, it shows up and I feel really good as soon as I open it.
After this unboxing, I went back to my hotel room, put the skates together, took a few extra pics before I scuffed them up, and then I hit the streets. My first time in the Twister XT, and it's on the streets of Miami. For the last year, I've been riding on 84 to 90 millimeter wheels, and these are 80 millimeter, which is a very nice size to be agile with, but yet you still feel like you're flying through the city. I don't really like going any smaller than the 80s.
So I can't really power stop in new wheels. It's just so sticky, it takes me like 20 stops. Sometimes it takes me a whole night to get used to it and get a nice, smooth power stop.
I'm skating very loose and bouncy here. I really enjoy how my foot feels when I make contact with the road. The shock eraser does seem to smooth things out a little bit. I don't really know much about the shock eraser. There's also a plate inside the sole of these feet that make up an anti-torsion box, which means the skate doesn't twist and lose power transfer as you stride. But I find the ride is quite nicely buffered. I feel connected to the road, but it's not a brittle ride at all.
I really like the Rollerblade twisters. I'm really feeling them. They might be my new primary skate. The 80s I feel really agile in. They're not exactly city crossers, but when they're new, they feel so fast. And I do like the 80s because it does 8-foot speed. And as far as power stops, I worried about the slightly higher boot, but I feel really nicely supported. I'm getting the in version and E version I need. But yeah, I was very quick to get a power stop in these. Instead of the usual 20 stops, it was like number 4, and I was able to get a nice little bit of hard-earned slug.
There were quite a few skaters asked me if I was going to miss the carbon fiber, and I do like plastic for some things. I think jumping off of stuff, doing stairs, and some of the rougher roads I like to ride will be a little smoother because I don't have that stiff carbon. I have that plastic that buffers just a little bit. And it's a very strong plastic. I don't feel the flexibility. It does feel like my power transfer is unaffected. I'm sure a slalom skater or a speed skater might have a different experience as far as what they expect and the margins of error and the 30ths of a second they're dealing with. But for me, these are beastly skates. They are perfect for the city. And the power stops, I don't know why, but for some reason I was able to do wide and narrow power stops. I could basically do them however I wanted. This was a very nice setup for power stopping all over Miami. Very comfortable the first time around. No friction points. I have fairly wide feet, so finding something that fits really well but doesn't constrict my blood flow is important. They fit like a glove. Oh, and I just wanted to slide in between those two metal feet. Close. I think I hit the last wheel or maybe the second last wheel. It wasn't a super slim margin, but I don't really pay attention to where I am laterally. I usually pay attention to the mark that I'm approaching. I need some work on that. How dare they? And that was my ride in the original frame. Next up is the Endless Frame Mercury 84. This frame for me was essential for the Miami trip because they're just so spectacular, and I wanted to see Miami through my skates reflected in my frames. And these are 84 millimeter wheels, and I love the very slight rocker. It takes a lot of work away from me when it comes to carbs, and there's a few moves I can do with these that I can't do very well with a flat setup. Just love the aesthetic of these skates, this military alien hardware kind of thing. These angular planes that look like they would deflect the enemy's beams or bullets. Nicely done, Rollerblade design team. So looking under the skate, it seems like there's a place where you can stall. I'd like to try that. Maybe even get a little grind on these. Scuff plate, it's very important. They've got one of those. I'm very curious about the Shock Eraser. I haven't done many stairs or any big drops, so that's coming up next. The review on this will be a bit of a work in progress. I'll let you know how I grow into these. So I did love my Crossfires. I found them a nice, fast, reactive skate. The lower cuff might be a little more for slalom, and they did come with a rockered frame. So I think they'd be amazing for slalom. I would suggest them to any of you fancy feet people out there. But I'm thinking that the Twister has the edge as far as a street skate. When I got back from Miami, I wanted to reacquaint myself with the frame it came with that held those 80mm wheels. I was super confident on this frame and this skate in the city. And for the rougher roads, I might want to go up to the bigger wheel. So what else haven't I told you? Oh yeah, the wheels that it came with were 85A hardness, and the bearings were ILQ ABEC 9 Classic Plus. Nice, slick bearings, none of which are compromised after my initial skating on these. Oh, I guess one more thing. I really like the color. I like the unusual bit of green. It's a very bright green, but used sparingly. It looks very cool. Not all skates can be red and black. I'm glad we're getting away from that. Really worried about a transition phase in Miami where it was going to be clumsy and that wasn't going to be my best me, but these became part of me very early, and they've definitely earned a spot on my top shelf. As you can see, I've made a space for them. That is the Rollerblade Twister XT, and you can get that at Solo Boutique Inline, Slick Willie's in the UK, and you can get it at Inline Warehouse online. I'm gonna have to bring those skates back to Miami. Just don't feel right in Toronto. Stay low.